Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Mark Rotherham, NEC's UK National Sales Manager. Within this webinar, we'll be looking at the MyCalls Recorder, which is an application that can work on the SV9100 and the SL2100. Before we get into the depths of what MyCalls Recorder can do for your business, if you've not viewed the MyCalls Manager video, you may wish to go back and have a cheeky look at that, because it'll give you an explanation of what the MyCalls Manager can do for your business, real-time information, a whole host of reports, and a lot more stuff. And the reason why is that the MyCalls Recorder works within the MyCalls Manager, giving you a one solution fit for your call reporting, your live information, and your call recording, making it really super easy for you. So MyCalls Recorder will record line side, which means that we will record all incoming calls into your business and all outgoing calls from your business, regardless if you've got analog lines, ISDN lines, or even SIP trunks. You may have a combination of all three. It's not a problem. We can provide a solution for you. Why should you consider call recording? Well, I think call recording now doesn't hold any huge barriers. We've got call recordings in all sorts of vertical markets. In some vertical markets, it's now a prerequisite that the calls be recorded, maybe in the legal and the financial sector in particular, because they're either giving high legal advice or dealing with huge sums of money. Another vertical that's taken off recently is the medical profession, because a lot more doctors and nurses are giving medical advice over the telephone, and they want to protect themselves as well as the patient along the way. And equally, in medical profession, they have a mobile workforce. Yeah, they want to have their calls recorded when they dial from their mobile phone. We're very fortunate at NEC. We got various mobile solutions on offer, mobile extension and ST500, whereby we can actually call any calls from those devices or to those devices. And I'm sure the NEC representative will give you a little bit more information about that. Organisations consider recording for coaching and training purposes. We want to understand how our staff are engaging with our clients and our customers, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to share those type of calls and hopefully learn from them so we all become better, and that's something I'll be showing you in the live demonstration shortly. And equally, dispute management, again, whether that be with a customer, a client, we can deal with dispute management. It's just a recording at the end of the day, and I'll give you a good example of that at the end of the video. If you're taking credit card information over the phone, you cannot record that element of the call. Okay, you have to be PCI compliant, so we have to provide you ways on how to pause the call when taking that credit card information. We have various solutions, and I'm sure we're going to see that in the live demonstration as well. The call recording is actually encrypted now to AES 128 standard, which means that it's sustainable in a court of law. When you purchase the MyCalls Recorder, it comes with a standard Windows player. However, we do have options, whether that be with licenses, but we have an enhanced player that provides you a whole host of other nice little things that you may want to consider within your business. We can have an auditor's license, which allows you to delegate the listening of the calls to maybe management, and it allows directors to look at the audit trail and see what calls have been listened to, and probably more importantly, for what duration of the length of the call's been listened to, if that makes sense. You can put playlists together, so I can listen to a whole host of calls one after the other. No messing around. You can put sound clips in there. You can mark the recordings. Maybe red would resemble a bad call, an orange is an okay, a green's a fantastic call, giving you quick visibility within the MyCalls Manager and the Recorder of what types of calls have actually been dealt with today. If you're dealing with dispute management in particular, I'm going to keep this explanation short. That could be a 20-minute conversation. The dispute is about 20 seconds. We can take a copy of that 20-second dispute, if you like, copy it to my desktop, and then email it to the client, maybe apologising, etc., etc. Of course, nowadays we have to be aware of GDPR. So it has a GDPR tool within the application that allows you to delete not only the call records and the reports and the data, but also the call recording. When you're looking at reports within the MyCalls Manager, and you may be looking at all MyCalls as an example for today, and they are being recorded, you may see a blue speaker. That would indicate to you that the call could actually be being played while you're looking at a report on your PC or laptop. Of course, if you printed it, you won't be able to do it. Okay. But yet again, that's very valuable because it saves you time looking at the call data and then maybe thinking that call's a little bit lengthy, let's have a listen to it. Or it may have a very unusual destination number. It could be an international number and you want to listen to that call. Of course, the calls need to be stored on a PC or server, and yet again, depending on how many calls you take, your NEC representative command would guide you with the size of PC and storage device that may be adequate for your business. If that device was to fail for whatever reason, it will generate an email fault alarm. So yet again, you'll have an email notifying you that the storage device has failed, so therefore you can go and correct it. And equally, when that storage device gets full, you get notification of that, and then you'll start archiving, I should say, the recordings to another storage area. With that said, let's go and have a look at the MyCalls Recorder. So here we are in the MyCalls Manager, and as I mentioned before, this is where we get hold of the recording to play them back, etc. So it's all contained in one application. So at this moment in time, you see there's no activity, and you can obviously tell by that there's nobody on the phone, there's nobody calling the queue, and this little icon here is grayed out, which will mean there's no activity. So as before, when I bring calls in, it will get presented to my little application here, and I'll answer the call, and you'll instantly see that turn to red, which will indicate the call has been recorded. We'll do that just in a while. And just down here, you can actually see the calls that have come into the business today, yesterday, last week, etc., as you could do in the MyCalls Manager. And if you've got a little icon next to it and it's blue, that would represent that the call has been recorded. If you've got the icon it's grey, it would mean that yes, the call has been recorded, but you do not have the authority to listen to it. Okay, so you can delegate people to be able to listen to the application or disallow people. It's totally up to you. It's all about system programming. So with that said, let's bring a call in and let's deal with the PCI compliance first and foremost. So we're going to pause the call when taking credit card information. So we're going to bring a call in. Okay, it's ringing away, and you can see the calls in the queue, and it's ringing on extension 200. It's coming on line 1. I'm waiting for the call to be delivered to my extension, which it has now, so I'm going to click here. So now I've answered the call, and you can actually see that the icon is now red, which would indicate the call is being recorded. Now there's various ways we can actually pause the recording. One way is by using DTMF tone, so it's a system license on the SL and the SV that allows the extension user to press #1 to pause the call while taking the credit card information, and #2 to resume recording. Okay, so there could be an element of human error. If you've got a MyCalls desktop application, a MyCalls Manager application, a MyCalls Agent desktop application, we can put this little icon within the application so it's nice and smart and all contained. If you don't have an application, don't worry, because that icon can actually appear in your system tray as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the call by clicking this button. So now we're actually green, so we are actually pausing the call, and I'll press it again and you can see that we will go to red. There we go. So we're pausing and restarting the call by just pressing the icon there. Now obviously that could be open to human error, people forgetting to restart it after taking the credit card information. The conversation continues, which should be recorded. Okay, so people are looking for a little bit more sophistication. So if I just bring up a web browser, And you can see that I'm on Google and I'm still recording the call because the button is actually red. But we could actually say if we go to a certain payment page, and in this instance I haven't got one, but I'm going to use the BBC website as an example. As soon as I go to the BBC website, you can see that the red button goes to green. So at this point the call is not being recorded. Okay, just to prove a point, if I go back to Google, which is there, you'll see that we are instantly recording again. Now even that could be have a problem where the extension user forgets. So to get over that problem, what you could do, if we need to use our imagination now, and let's just pretend that our NEC website's your payment page, and what we can actually do is when we start entering information into fields such as this, so as soon as I click into this field to take your 16-digit credit card number, the button will go from red to green. So I'm going to click in it right now, and you can see there it's paused the call. If I click in this field here, because I'm taking your expiry date, it's still pausing. I'm going to click in this field here because that's where I'm going to enter your 3-digit numbers at the back of your card. And just down here, I'm going to put in some your contact telephone number. And you can actually notice that at that point, the button actually went to red to indicate the call is now being recorded. So we can take out all the human error by doing something as similar as that. It could be a payment page or within a CRM. Now whether you're using this method or using this method here or the method of the button in your system tray, it's the same license, it's just programmed up differently. Okay, so that's how we will deal with the PCI, and we'll look at the calls recording shortly. Just a few things I want to point out to you. You can see here we've got one of the calls has got a note next to it, so we can add notes to calls when we listen to it, good, bad or indifferent. We can put flags in there, red for a bad call, orange for an okay call, and green for a fantastic call, to give us a quick representation of what type of calls people have listened to and sort of like scored, if you like. Okay, and we can put playlists together and things like that. Just touching on the GDPR aspect, the right to be forgotten. I can click within the field here. I can enter the customer's telephone number, and I'm just putting a fictitious number in there. I'm going to search it, and it's come up as 0. But obviously, if that was 1, 200, 500, no matter how many, it will find all that call data relating to that telephone number. And you can see here, I have the ability to delete. It will not only delete the call data, it will also delete the call recordings. Okay, so very, very easy to deal with the GDPR aspect in this day and age. Okay, with that said, let's go and zoom in and have a look at this call history area. So in order to look at the calls, I've opened up a MyCalls desktop application. Okay, it's exactly the same within the Calls Manager, but I thought I'd bring this into view purely for the fact it's going to be easier to see because there's a lot of tiles within the MyCalls Manager. So what can we see? Okay, so we have the ability to see the calls that happened today, yesterday, this week, last 7 days, etc. I have the ability to put somebody's telephone number in here that may have phoned and said, Mark, I phoned in yesterday and I wasn't too happy about the level of service I got. I could put the customer's CLI number that he phoned in on originally, and it'll go off and find those recordings and make it really, really easy. Okay, these are the calls that have happened today, and you can see obviously all of them have got a little speaker icon against them, and they are blue, which would indicate that they're being recorded and I'm able to listen to them. Now you may delegate an application to members of staff, and yes, the calls are going to be recorded, but you don't want them to listen to it. That be the case, they would be able to see the calls as they are now, but the speakers would be greyed out, which would mean they would not be able to play the call back. That'd be down to a supervisor, a departmental manager, or whoever. Okay, so let's click on an icon. And there we go. This is what we call the enhanced player. Remember, when you buy a MyCalls Manager and a MyCalls Recorder, you get a normal Windows player. Okay. The reason I'm going to use obviously the enhanced player, because I wanted to show you exactly where we pause the call when taking that credit card information, and I want to show you a few other things along the way as well. So you can see here the call came in on extension 201. Don't forget we're in lockdown at this moment in time, so I've only got one-way sort of speech, but if it was a proper call you'd have two waveforms, okay? But yeah, again, if I was to play it, you'd probably hear me in the background. Okay, I'm just going to pause it because it will add confusion to the audio. So you can see that we've taken the call, and I've got an area, 3 areas in fact, that are sort of like little greyed out or white little crisscrosses. That's what we would call white noise. That's where at the point where I press something to pause the call, and then press something again to restart the call. So here, at this point here, I paused the call to take the credit card information, and here I pressed it again to restart the recording, because yet again I've taken the credit card information and I need to continue recording the call. You can see here we continued the call, and then we went, if you remember, went to Google, and at Google we continued to record the call, but as soon as I went to the BBC website it paused, didn't it? So it paused, and then we went back to Google to demonstrate yet again it was recording, and then we went off to the NEC contact form and clicked in particular fields in there just to sort of demonstrate, you know, taking credit card information. This is how we can pause it. Okay, so just to confirm that that event has actually happened, we have a tab here that actually says start recording. So we actually track of where the call actually was triggered to pause it. So yet again, for auditing purposes, things like that would be quite useful. We can add an additional license into the enhanced plan, which is called audit. So yet again, clicking on that, I can actually see that this call's been played back on 2 occasions, and the time and the date's obviously there, but the interesting thing here, I can actually see that this call recording has only been played back for 2% of its duration, which is not very good, and the other one being 4%. So yet again, a way that if you are delegating staff management to listen to calls, you can actually clarify and quantify whether that action's been done. Okay, so that's nice and easy. Now let's say we're dealing with a dispute management situation here. Let's forget the elements of pausing, but let's say I've listened to this call, it's 20 minutes long. Now trying to email that call would be quite difficult, whether it be sending or receiving it, because of the size of the actual file. I could listen to the call, and let's say where my mouse is now, this area here is the area of dispute. Okay, and it could be 10 seconds, 20, it could be 2 minutes. But what I can do is I can export that, copy that section of the call to my desktop, and then input it into an email, and then send it to the customer and say, Mr. Customer, we have reviewed the recording, and I can confirm that we have made a mistake, and we are extremely apologetic, and here's the snippet of the call where I think where the confusion actually took place. That is a lot easier, isn't it, than trying to email a 20-minute conversation. So the enhanced player is fantastic for a whole host of things: auditing, snipping, understanding where the calls have been recorded. It is a license that can be deployed on every extension, but only one person at a time can actually use it. So if you've got 2 or 3 people that may be listening to calls at the same time, you will need the same amount of licenses. Okay, that said, let's get back. So that was MyCalls Recorder. How easy was that? Okay, some chief good takeaways for you to consider. MyCalls Recorder records from the point you either make or receive a call. Now, if you receive a call, as soon as you pick up the handset, you're recording. Okay, but if you're making a call, you're either going to dial 9 to an outside line, or you may press a line button to access an outside line. Now, if I was to say to my colleague when dialing 9 or pressing the line key, I've got to speak to Mr. Jones and I'm not looking forward to it, guess what happens? when you go and review that call, you're going to hear me making a comment to my colleague that I'm not looking forward to calling Mr. Jones, and then you hear the phone ring and then Mr. Jones answers. So you could be in a very embarrassing position. So please be careful. Remember, we can record from any extension type. So we're actually recording all inbound calls and all outbound calls, and if you're using a digital extension, an analog extension, IP det, a mobile device, we can record the call for you. Okay, all or selected extensions can be recorded. Yet again, it's just in a tick in a box. You may want to provide a handset, maybe in a meeting room, that's not recorded, so staff can go and make a personal call. Yet again, we also get asked, is it a legal requirement to inform our callers that the calls are being recorded? I think with the term best endeavours, you can actually give them an announcement with the NEC telephone system, the call's being recorded for training and legal purposes, then make the phone ring. You may want to put that announcement on your website. So best endeavours there. Training and dispute management. Well, I think training is pretty obvious, and you've seen that through the video of what we can actually do there, sharing that type of information and copying sections out of the call and distributing it to our colleagues. Dispute management. Protect your staff, your customers, and your revenue. Okay, I did promise you I'm going to give you a little bit of story about this. We had a company come into the NEC showroom in Nottingham, and they manufactured concrete. And on a Thursday afternoon, they received a telephone call from a customer they've never dealt with before, and the customer informed them he's been let down by his supplier of concrete, and they are looking for 33 tons of concrete on a Saturday morning. This company didn't work on a Saturday, but they didn't want to let the customer down. It was an opportunity to win some business, and the person that took the call said, if you don't mind, can I phone you back, because I've got to see if we've got staff that are wanting to come in and manufacture on a Saturday and also deliver the concrete on a Saturday. Anyway, the staff agreed. They were quite happy. They were getting some overtime. The drivers were equally the same. So Saturday morning came, 6 o'clock in the morning, the concrete plant starts. They manufacture 33 tons of concrete, put it in the truck, get to site, and the customer wanted 3 tons of concrete. So therefore, we've got 30 tons of waste material. We've got X amount of hours times X amount of people that we have to pay salaries to. Along with the driver, the loss in revenue was horrific. Okay, so that's what I mean by protecting your revenue. That customer now has call recording to avoid those type of situations. Okay, so remember, if you're taking credit card information, you have to be PCI compliant. So we need to pause the call when you're taking credit card information from the customer. So we can pause the call manually by using a system-wide license on the SV9100 and the SL2100 that gives us the ability to do DTMF tone pausing. So we'll press #1 and it'll pause the call. #2 will restart it. And also automated pausing, which you've seen obviously in the video with the icon in the application or in the system tray, or even clicking in within a field of a CRM or a payment page. GDPR compliant, as we've witnessed, we can delete the call record as well as the call recording, all within a few clicks. And don't forget, you've got those player options. Out of the box, you're just going to get a basic player, but the enhanced player will give you a lot more. Now, that enhanced player or the basic player can be loaded on everybody's PCs, but only one person at a time could listen to the calls. So if you've got multiple people that are going to be listening to the calls, just make sure you've got the relevant amount of licenses to do that. Hope you enjoyed that video on the MyCalls recorder. If you do have any questions or suggestions, please consult your NEC channel manager. That just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time and have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye bye.